Paul, you offend me daily. So I don't know where you stand on this thing of being so offensive and annoying.
You wouldn't have it any other way. I go out of my way to offend you. Do you know
Yeah,
when
I'd
I
say
wake
you
up in
do.
the morning, I sit up in bed and I scroll through my phone, through my contacts on my phone, and think, who have I not offended? And if I can't find anybody, I go, who have I not offended recently? And then I go with that.
And I think like it's easy to offend people these days, isn't it?
But you know what? We've said it before, we've touched on it. You cannot give offence, you can only take offence.
Yes.
You say something and somebody takes it in. Because we've seen this with comments on our videos where people have a particular bias. People will comment on something that you haven't said. They will assume that you've said it.
Yeah.
Or they will have it taken out of context. They haven't realised the context at all. They've just seen it through the lens of their bias, and they'll come and they'll give a comment and say, that was offensive.
It's explosive, isn't it?
Yeah,
It's an outburst.
the comment or the thing that we said originally was just a comment thing, but they took it in and they found it offensive. Because if it was offensive, it would offend all. Everybody would be universally offended. But no, these people are offended and other people are not offended. Yeah. So the offence is in the way that they took it in.
Absolutely. And I think going down the road of racism nowadays as well.
I can be a racist if you like.
There's a big difference there now, isn't there, to belief?
There is.
I see like the younger kids now don't understand why there should be an issue with any type of racism. Like, because they have never really experienced it.
Do you know what? I remember, I think it was a podcast I was listening to, and the guy was talking about that there is no such thing as racism, really. He said, because there's only one race, the human race.
Human race. Oh, that's a brilliant way. I love that.
There is no, like you can say that somebody is Oriental race, that somebody is African. That isn't actually a thing.
Yeah.
There's just a human race.
Yeah.
And we're all kind of genetically related. We've all, like, if you believe the science, which a lot of people don't, and we all originated from Africa anyway. So we were all originally coloured or black or whatever way you want to say that.
Yeah.
And we kind of moved north and we mutated into white people with brown eyes and blue eyes and different coloured hair and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I wonder.
We're bigoted, really, aren't we?
No, terribly. Yeah, there should be absolutely no distinction like between the two. I mean, I think the only thing that you could be looking at is the different cultures, or that's the only difference between us, or the different religions that people follow, or
it's one of the things that I love when I go on holidays. I love other cultures. I love the way they do things, the way they cook their food, the way they might have a siesta during the middle of the day.
I like trying different food.
You see, it educates me.
Yeah, it does. It broadens your perspective on things.
It does, and I think once you've travelled, your mind is broadened. But a lot of people might not have moved outside of their locality or outside of the group of friends.
Yeah.
And when you're in that kind of circle, your view of the world is protected. And it's never challenged.
Your mind is very closed off. Like, even when I worked for Google as well a number of years back, like the diversity in culture and everything there, I just absolutely loved it, because it broadened my mind on all different races and cultures and religions. Like, we used to celebrate different religious days up there. Yeah. Like, so that everybody was included. Everything was celebrated. Life, death, LGBTQIA+, all the different religious ceremonies, the mental health week, suicide awareness day, Women's Day, everything was celebrated, and I thought that was a fabulous culture.
Well, it's interesting, we've a colleague here, Ken, that we will have him on some of the videos in the future, but he was talking about he did this design, a logo for LGBTQ, and it's lovely, fantastic, wonderful thing, but he got adverse comments when he put it up. I don't know, did he put it on Instagram or but people kind of, you're promoting this blah 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 blah, blah, this kind of verbal diarrhea.
Literally.
And he was going to respond, but his partner kind of said, just leave it,
just ignore it.
But it was kind of getting to him, so then he composed this wonderful response, which basically said, hold on a minute, like, if you're not interested in this kind of thing, why are you commenting on it? Because if you comment on it, then Instagram or Facebook or whoever will send you more stuff on it because they think you're interested in it. But it was a thing. I remember when I was studying to be a hypnotherapist over 20 years ago, and it was talking about people with, because back then, like, it was only really homosexuality, there was no LGBTQ, hadn't been discovered. I don't know who discovered it. And it was talking about people, that there was a phenomenon, especially in the UK at the time, where a lot of gay men were beaten up.
Yeah.
And a lot of they got a lot of abuse. But it turned out that many of the people who dished out this abuse, they had their own gay issues themselves.
That's right, they were gay themselves.
And what it was, they were pointing it out in the other person, and they were going out and punishing that person, projecting it out. And we've seen this in a lot of religions. Like religions used to preach from the altar that it was wrong, you'll burn in hell for this. And then it turned out the whole clergy were bloody abusing people. I'm not saying that abusing people is the same as being gay, not making that at all.
No.
But there was a lot of sexually repressed people in the priesthood who had no outlet. Yeah. Some of them were genuine gay men, and they had relationships with other gay men, but some of them were paedophiles and abusing kids, and it was all of their sexual stuff that was going on that they were kind of just pointing out in the general public and saying, you Miss General Public and you Mr. General Public, you can't be going on with that kind of stuff, and affairs and people, babies born outside of marriage should be thrown in cesspits and June.
It was disgusting.
Just gross hypocrisy.
Horrific.
So it's no wonder the church crumbled in Ireland when all of this stuff started to come up. People kind of go, hold on a minute, you bloody hypocrite.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
there was no event for people, really. Sure there wasn't, and no rights for anybody at that stage.
No. And people listening to this now would say, I'm offended that you're criticising the church, and there's lots of good people in church. There is lots of good people in church. There's lots of good people outside of the church. Just because you're in a church doesn't necessarily make you a good person. And if you were a good person just simply because you follow a particular religious code, then you're not genuinely a good person. You should be a good person regardless of your religious code.
Absolutely.
But I can go, I am actually more offended by throwing babies in cesspits. And the way mothers were treated in Magdalene laundries.
Yeah, it was disgusting. I've worked with so many clients as a trauma therapist that have suffered the abuse at the hands of Magdalene laundries and, boarding schools, Catholic boarding schools and things. And they all say the same thing. They think that the priest or the abuser or the nun or whatever saw something in them, or that they were gay all along, and that they tried to beat this out of them, and they suffered horrific abuse, because. So one of these men or women took a particular fancy to them and just hated that in themselves, and I just think that's horrific that any human being would have to tolerate that, in particular a child. No time whatsoever for people who abuse animals or kids. No. They're so vulnerable, and I could never work. I remember going to the prisons one time to work with addiction many years ago. I took on this contract, and a couple of my clients were paedophile men, and I just couldn't do it. I could not have empathy for them, and I know that that's my boundary. That's where I draw the line, And I think the thing that freaked me out about it most, Paul, is not that they were disgusting or weird or creepy. It was that they were like your average, lovely, clean, presentable granddad. Yeah. The way they had of manipulating you or drawing you in or something, it was like... Yeah. You like this person, you trust them. It was very disturbing. Yeah. So, come back to being offended. Yeah. If I'm offended by something, if I feel that response in me, I take ownership of that, and I go, what does that hit off me? How is that reverberated in me? What is my issue that this is poking at? And then I'm grateful for that, because it gives me a chance to work on that, either with myself or going to somebody else. But as well as that, I love, Siobhan, I love sitting down, and we do here in the clinic spontaneously rather than at the canteen, talking with somebody who has a different opinion. Because they educate me. Now, you might still end up not agreeing with them, but now you're aware of their position and why they think and why they feel that way. And my knowledge is enhanced. And if somebody can persuade me that their position is a better position than my position, I have no problem changing my position. Oh yeah, me neither. I absolutely love to hear other people's opinions. And I would say that I'm a very neutral person. Around those kind of things. There's an odd thing that I just can't abide, as I mentioned. But like other things, I love it. I love the debates we have as well sometimes.
Yeah.
Like they can get a bit heated. But,
They can do.
it's good though.
Yeah.
But we never fall out, like, and I think that's the cool thing.
No, even if we did find something genuinely that we felt passionate about, that we disagreed on, or whatever, we can recognise.
Just let it go.
Well, that's your position. That's my position.
Yeah.
That's fine. It doesn't make either of us a bad person or a wrong person. Just because you feel that you're right doesn't mean that the other person is wrong.
Yeah, we'll still grab a coffee after.
Oh yeah, which is what we're going to do. Let us know your stance on being offended, and that's the other thing too. If people want to put comments in down below the video, appreciate if you argue your point and others. But when it gets to name calling or insulting or that, I can go, hold on, your argument does not have substance, because it cannot stand alone without you adding in, you're a clown, you're an idiot, you're crawled out from under a rock somewhere. If you have to resort to that, you haven't really got a valid position.
That's it, Paul.
Talk to you soon. Bye.